Hey guys, PretzelMan945 here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have a return to a series which I have not done in I think like almost a year. Ah, what was the last one of these that I did? Yeah, so it was like late August, the last one of these that I did. Um, which is the series where I rank One Piece characters by literally any way imaginable. And the reason why I did not continue this series before is because I didn't really have ideas. Although I was looking through my comments a little bit ago, and I of course made this giant list of ideas here, um, uh, which was all written down from comments I have gotten that I never did because um I have been terrible about writing ideas down. So I finally wrote all my ideas down, and there are several, there's like three different ranking One Piece characters ideas in here, and the one that we are going to be doing today is ranking One Piece characters by their persona summoning potential. Um, and along, well, I don't know if I want to try and describe the. No, I'm not going to try and describe the persona they would summon. That would be, that would be impossible. I don't know all the different personas that well enough at all. Um, but as for the tiers, we're going to be using the same One Piece character tier list that I've been using for all of these because it has a good amount of characters, and it's just easy for me to use, and it makes sure that these rankings don't last like ever. Um, so we have basically pro tag levels of power, so like they would have a persona so strong that it's like as strong as a persona protagonist type power where they can switch between multiple personas. Or they can straight up summon multiple personas if I think that's the case. We got very strong, middle of the road, weak persona, and can't summon a persona at all. Okay, now we're starting off with Absalom, which um Absalom's devil fruit allows him to turn invisible. Um so like so many personas is about sort of strength of willpower. I I'm pretty sure. It's been a while since I've played a Persona game, to be completely honest with you. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Absalom. Um, I'm in between these two things. I want to say that he would have a weak persona because his will of being a perv is just that strong. Um, I think Ace would have a very strong persona. Um, he's a very like um reckless, prideful character that has a lot of ambition. Um, I don't think he's quite up here in pro tag levels, but very strong. Um, I don't think Alvida would be able to summon a persona because she doesn't really have any lofty goals. She just has a massive ego and continues being a pirate. I don't think that she would be able to summon a persona. Um, so Fuzan is an interesting character for this kind of discussion because um he is like his whole personification is this idea of like lazy justice where he doesn't really feel like putting that much effort into things. At least that's the case, like the entire part of the story while he is still an admiral. When he becomes an independent agent and starts, uh, and then eventually becomes one of Blackbeard's Titanic captains, it's a bit more questionable to me. Um, as when I say questionable, as to like how much does he really stick to this idea of lazy justice versus like his character changing. I want to put him in weak persona because I just don't think, like, I think that because of the fact that he has this concept of lazy justice, I think that he sort of lacks the proper ambition to summon a strong persona. A who? Who? Hmm. Um, I'm kinda leaning toward no because he doesn't really have any grand ambitions of his own necessarily. Um, Arlong, I think I'm gonna put Arlong in. I'm gonna change the name of this here to average side character power. I think that's pretty good. And the reason I put Arlong in the middle there is because Arlong, Arlong has a goal. He cares very much about his fellow fishmen. He wants to see, like, death to all humans and stuff like that. Um, but I don't think that, like, his ambition to actually accomplish this will that he has would be as strong as some other characters. Um, but I do think that he would be able to summon a decently strong persona. Buggy. Um, I think Buggy is the definition of average side character. Actually, no, no. He's weak persona because he has ambition to do minor things, like stealing treasure. He often ends up in situations that he was not meant to end up in. But I don't think that that necessarily equates to him, like him lucking up to being the leader of Crossguild and having a bounty of over 3 billion berries. Um, I don't think that like being able to like luck up a super strong persona, it doesn't work the same way. Um, Whitebeard, I think, would be basically pro tag levels of power, because he is ridiculously strong as a like physically to begin with, but on top of that, there's also this idea of like he cares a lot for his found family and he would do anything to protect them, including literally going to war. Which, if you think about it, that's kind of what the Persona protagonists are doing because they are essentially doing a form of going to war. Well, at least in Persona 3, which is really the example that I'm thinking of. They are just going to war against the entire world and concepts as they understand them, um, uh, to hope to win to protect everyone. And I think that's exactly the kind of thing that Whitebeard would do. Um, so Bartolomeo is funny because he is a character with such a strong ambition and desire to protect Luffy that I think that he would summon a very strong persona. Um, hmm, fucking hell. We don't know what the fuck do I say about him. Uh, um, you know what? Due to lack of information, I don't think that Ben Beckman can summon a persona. Um, I'm gonna put Veggie in average side character power tier because he has a family, he wants to protect his family, and he's also constantly looking to expand his criminal enterprises and stuff. But at the same time, uh it's not nearly as strong of a ambition as Ace or Bartolomeo. So he goes right in the middle there. Um, Bellamy, um, I'm kind of leaning toward can't summon a persona because there's nothing about his character that's really motivated by anything to do any grand ambitions. Bellamere, I mean, she is a mother character that cares so much about her kids. That is a very powerful ambition of her that she was willing to die to protect. I think very strong persona for her. Um, Beppo wants to protect Law, but I think that's kind of the extent of his will and ambition. I'm going to say weak persona for him. Um, Big Mom is extremely power hungry, and she had a very grand ambition to try and create a kingdom where all races could um coexist. And I think for having such a lofty goal like that, I think that Big Mom is also protag levels of power here. I don't think Bruno would be able to summon a persona, and even though we're not to them yet, I think this is probably the same for most other CP9 slash zero members because um they don't really have they are primarily just obeying orders. They don't really have any ambitions of their own. Okay, Blackbeard. Um, he definitely has a uh he definitely has a very strong ambition and will. Um, but I don't know. I don't feel like we've seen enough of Blackbeard's sort of like what his over like he supposedly wants the world, but we don't really exactly know what that means yet. I'm going to put him in very strong persona though. Like he easily can summon a very strong persona. I don't think it's quite to the level of Whitebeard and Big Mom though, because I just don't think it's like the same potential to um break a story in the way that these can with like protag powers. Um so Bonnie had a very strong desire to save her father Kuma, and this is accomplished, but I don't but and like beyond that I don't really know what ambition that she has right now in the story, so I'm going to say that she has a weak persona. Um, okay, I'm going to move Dory and Broggy together because it's just easier to talk about them together. Um, uh, Broggy, hmm. I mean, like, he has a spirit for battle. One that was very strong, like strong enough to where he kept battling Dory for 100 years on Little Garden. Hmm. I'm inclined to put both of them in weak persona for that reason. Okay, Douglas Bullet. Oh boy, it's been a while since I watched Stampede. I do not remember very much about Zephyr. I mean, not Zephyr. Fuck. About Douglas Bullet. Um, I want to say it's been like, geez, like 2 years since I first watched Stampede or something crazy like that. Um, Douglas Bullet. Did he have like a particularly strong ambition? I honestly like I can't really remember. Uh, hmm. I am like really stuck on this one. I mean, supposedly he was on Roger's crew. But, like, what did he even want to do? I don't remember. I kind of wanna. I kind of wanna like look at his One Piece. He was imprisoned and impelled down. he plotted to become Pirate King. Hmm. In that case, I'm gonna put him in average side character power. Burgess, I don't really think would be able to summon a persona. He's kind of just loyal to Blackbeard. He doesn't really have any grand ambition of his own. Um, Cavendish is obsessed with beauty. I think that he would be able to summon a weak persona to be able to accomplish that goal. That guy, absolutely not. Um, and this is not Lola, but her sister that's Veggie's wife. I don't think so either. Don Xingzhao is the definition of average side character power because um he had like one dead set goal of trying to defeat Garp, and eventually this coming down to Luffy. Um, and he was like obsessed with like uh cursing bloodlines and all this stuff. So he definitely has some ambition, but it is not as clear or direct as other characters that would be able to summon stronger personas, in my opinion. Um, Chopper. Okay, Chopper is interesting because he has a very strong will to cure all of the diseases. And I honestly think that would really equate to quite a strong persona, in my opinion. I don't think Cracker would be able to summon a persona. I think Crocodile is probably average side character. Well, mm, yeah, because like from a sense he is quite similar to Beji in a way, because he would want to expand his power and influence, and that is what his primary ambition is. Um, Crocus would not be able to summon a persona, neither would Daz Bones, I think. Uh, Doflamingo. Ooh. Hmm. She literally took over a kingdom and has like an entire fucking god complex. I think that he would have like protag levels of persona power. Um, Now, as much as I would love to make a joke and roast Dragon's ass for the thousandth time in this series by making a joke about um he can't summon a persona because he has no ambition except for looking east. Um in reality, I think that Dragon probably does summon a very strong persona because of the fact that um and I think that there is like, if I was doing this tier list before God Valley, I definitely would have fully gone with the joke. But with God Valley now, I think that there is some definite irrefutable evidence that he clearly has a very strong revolutionary will, and I think that that would definitely equate to a strong persona. Um, next week, I think that he would be able to summon a weak persona, but not really, more than that. Okay, sorry for the cut. I had to take care of something. That's why it is, a good bit later now. But moving on. So we have Enel. Enel is literally a god. He has even more of a god complex than Dofi in a sense. I think that he has basically protag levels of persona summoning power. Um, so much so that he's on this tier list twice. I don't know why, but he is. Um, Foxy, Jesus. Um, uh, I'm inclined to say Foxy can't summon a persona at all. Um, I think Fuji could, but he's not a character that has as grand ambitions. I'm going to put him an average side character, I think. Fukuro, there's no way he summons a persona. Garp is very interesting because on the surface it might seem like he does have a sort of ambition, but I would say that he doesn't really have that much of one. At least that would be needed to summon a persona, so I don't think he would be that good at it. Gendo cannot summon a persona. Pajrudin, I think, would be average side character most likely, because he is a warrior giant. He has some level of ambition, I would say. Um, Boa Hancock, hmm, I think probably here. Yeah, average side character power, I think, because she has crazy ambition for Luffy and she wants to protect her sisters, but I don't think it's as strong as the other ones in the tier above. Um, Hawkins and Helmeppo. Mm, yeah, no, I'm inclined to say neither of them would be able to summon a persona. Higuma, definitely not. Hina, no. Um, Iceberg, I mean, he did become mayor of the city. I'll say he can do a weak one, probably. Um, Ichiji, probably not. Ideo, probably not. Inazuma, probably not. Ivankov, I would say average side character power because of the revolutionary ambition. Um, Gabra, definitely not. Sai, probably not. Jozu, mm, weak persona. Judge has goals of advancing science. I would say average side character power. Okay, here we go. Here's the next very strong candidate, I would say. Um, Kaido is a character that wanted to become this Joy Boy figure, wanted to become King of the Pirates, and he went and did that. So I think he does have a very strong persona, but the fact that he does not want to go further is the thing that keeps him out of protag levels of power, in my opinion. Um, Haku, I mean, Egghead helps his case more so. I'm gonna still say weak persona though. Khalifa, definitely not. Katakuri has um strong feelings of protection and wanting to be stronger. I actually think very strong persona for him. Um, Killer, no. King, very similar ambitions to Kaido, but not as strong, I think. So average side character power. Kizaru definitely could not. Koala, the same as Ivankov in terms of revolutionary ambition, I would say. Um, Kobe has very strong persona summoning potential for me because of the fact that he is extremely dedicated in his in his mission, not just as a Marine, but also even more so as a member of Sword. Um, Posa is a revolutionary who went to extreme lengths to carry his efforts out. He would have a very strong persona, I would say. Um, Don Krieg wanted to conquer the Grand Line, so I think that warrants him at least a weak persona summoning potential. Kumador, absolutely not. Kumadori, I mean. And then Kuma, I think I was mixing the two names up. Kuma I'm tempted to put on the top tier, to be completely honest, and I do think I will because he literally whisked everything, every part of his body, literally every part of his body and soul to make sure that Bonnie would be safe and he would be able to protect her. Um, my God, why am I forgetting this character's name? Uh, fuck. Why, why am I blanking on her name? Anyway, um, I think that he has a she had a strong ambition to protect Hopper. So I think that's average side character power. Kuro weak because he had a plan and he wanted to do some things as a pirate. Lafitte, I'm gonna say no for right now. Law, I think has ambition, but it's not as clear cut or directed as characters in the very strong persona here. Yeah, I'm gonna leave him with average side character power. I think that fits. And I'm gonna put Leo in the same position. Rob Lucci, I think, is actually going to get average side character power because I think the sort of nature of his awakened devil fruit gives him more ambition to be stronger, and I think that he is easily the highest ranking in this tier list of CP0 members. Lucky Roo maybe shares similar ambitions as Shanks. I'm gonna say weak persona. Luffy is the protagonist of the story, and so I think it is only fitting that protagonists get protag level powers. Makino, probably not. Marco has a very strong persona summoning potential because he has a lot of the same aspects of loyalty as Whitebeard does, and so therefore he goes in very strong, but not quite to the same level as Whitebeard himself. Um, Mihawk, I think, is a character that potentially used to have very strong potential, but now is quite weak because he simply does not have that much ambition to do anything. Momonga, definitely not. Gecko Moria is a character that is driven by grief in his past of losing all of his crew, therefore he made them all into zombies. But beyond that, he kind of loses that potential because of the fact that he doesn't really do anything with it. So I think that he has weak persona summoning potential, but he did at one point have that kind of ambition. Um, Bon Clay. Okay, Bon Clay has a desire to protect his friends. I think that gives him weak persona summoning potential. Um, Mani, Nami is also immensely motivated by her friends, but even more so by money, and I think that combination gives her average side character power. Um, Nojiko probably couldn't summon a persona, I want to say. Um, uh, Hachan, um, Hachan, I don't know. Um, I'm leaning toward not being able to summon a persona. Orlumbus, I think not. Ors was an ancient giant that wanted to conquer some territory. I'm thinking weak persona summoning potential. A pacifista definitely could not because it's a robot. Holly, I don't believe has any potential of summoning a persona. Um, Hell is driven by a desire to protect uh those he's close to and his duty as a commander of the Royal Alabasta Guard. I'm gonna say weak persona potential for him. Uh Verona, I think would not be able to summon a persona. Um I think this is a photo of Queen, which I don't think I'd ever realized in any of my other previous tier lists of doing it because it's just a terribly cropped image. But we're going to go with it. Queen in this case, I want to say. Hmm, I want to say that Queen would probably have average side character power. Um, in a simpler way to King, but more focused on his own scientific exploits. Um, I think that Rayleigh, I think that Rayleigh would used to have had very strong persona potential, but because he has gotten older with age, I think that that is somewhat lessened a bit. But I'm still going to give him average side character power. Renew. I'm gonna say weak persona potential. Ryuma was destined to be the very strongest swordsman. I'm counting it as his alive version, not the dead skeleton version from Thriller Bark. Um, I'm going to say very strong swordsman for that reason. Sabo has um just as strong, if not stronger, revolutionary ambition than Dragon does, so very strong potential easily there. Akainu is dead set on wiping out pirates because he has such an intense hatred for them and therefore an ambition to take them out. So he also gets a very strong persona potential in my book. Um, Sanji has a ambition to see the All Blue and cares very much about protecting the women nearest dearest to him, but in particular the women. So a very strong persona potential for him. Um, Sengoku, I am going to put in an average side character power because I think that he did have a goal to try and uphold justice in the way that he thought was best. But now that he's retired, I think that there is a lot of that potential which has lessened. Um, Shanks, I think. Ooh, is Shanks top tier? Hmm. That's that's tricky to be honest. Hmm. I think that because his ambition is not as direct, I think he does not go in the top tier, but he easily gets very strong persona potential, in my opinion. Hachi and Penguin probably cannot. Um, Kiryu, Kiryu would be, Kiryu has an ambition to follow Blackbeard. I think it is a little bit more than someone like Fergus or Lafitte, so I'm going to give him weak persona potential. I don't think Smoothie or Spandam would be able to, or Stussy for that matter. I can't figure out who that is. I don't think that Suru does either. Um, Rouge is like we don't really know enough about him, but I think I'm gonna put him in average side character power, I think. Um Usopp definitely has a very strong persona summoning potential. Um because of his ambitions to be a brave warrior of the sea. Van Augur, I think, is in a similar position as Shiryu. Um, Vista, where did I put Jozu? I think Vista's probably in a similar position as Jozu. Um, Wapol is a funny case in this instance because um he had a very strong ambition to take over Drum Kingdom, and this eventually led him to becoming a very strong businessman. I'm going to say very strong persona uh, for him. Um, Yasop, I'd love to say can't summon a persona, but I think that there is intense loyalty that he fosters towards Shanks, so I think that it is a weak potential at the best. Yonji would not be able to. Zeph, however, had grand ambitions, first as a pirate and then as a chef, which includes taking care of Sanji. I think he has a very strong persona summoning potential. Um, let's see. Zoro, I think, is also very strong potential because of the fact that he wants to be the world's greatest swordsman. Um, and in fact, I think I want to move Zoro to the top here because his ambition is that direct, like the rest of these characters. Um, Caesar Clown was very evil and wanted to do evil things with science, so I'm going to say that deserves an average side character power tier. Um, uh, fucking I don't remember his name, which is good because that sucks that bad. He's the worst One Piece character of all time. But he for some reason harbors an intense loyalty to Blackbeard, so I think that at least determines weak persona summoning potential for him. And then Horizon was extremely dedicated to protecting Law. I think that deserves a very strong persona summoning potential for him. Dellinger definitely cannot, and neither can Diamante. Fisher Tiger is another character that I want to put in the top tier because um he was so dedicated to his vision of Fishman cooperation with the rest of the world that he literally died for it. Um, so he gets top tier. Uh, Hannibal, absolutely not. Cannot summon a potential. Cannot summon a persona. I mean, um, Kinemon has a very strong sense of loyalty. I'm going to say average side character power for him. Little Oars Junior for he has loyalty to Whitebeard. I'm going to say that's the same as Jozu and Vista. Magellan does not really have any ambition or persona summoning potential. Monet definitely does not. I think Pedro has uh Pedro I want to put in very strong, to be honest, because he had a very strong ambition to try and um make a better future for the Minx by defeating the Big Mom pirates and getting the Road Poneglyph map and helping the Straw Hats, and he died for it. So I think that is, in fact, a very strong ambition. Um, who is that? I don't know. Oh, wait. Is this Pika? I don't think Pika has any such ambition. Shiki, Shiki literally went to Marineford to get them to free Roger. Um, just because he wanted to fight him that bad, he ended up escaping from Impel Down by losing both of his legs. I think that's very strong persona summoning potential. I don't know who, and never been able to figure out who that guy is. Rebel definitely cannot, and neither can Virgo, in my opinion, and I don't remember who that last guy is. Okay, this is the complete tier list. I would say I am pretty happy with this list, and this was a fun video to record. If you have any ideas for how you would like me to rank One Piece characters as next, please let me know in the comments. But for now, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.